We on, Jason?
We are.
Okay. This is the public hearing portion of our morning. As Jason mentioned, we only have to have one hearing according to the procedures, the state laws, because we are not raising the millage rate or the taxes. So that's what this is all about. And I applaud you, Jason, for this budget and getting it out. And I'm excited that we were able to, if we approve this lower millage rate to 12.991, because it's currently 15.608. And I was looking back, I couldn't, how long ago was it that we were this low in millage rate? 2012. So that's exciting to me, because as you all probably realize, we all are taxpayers sitting up here also. So this is a great thing. All right. The introduction to our public hearing is the purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments on the proposed 2023 budget. No additional public hearings are scheduled. The budget and millage rate are on the agenda to be adopted as the council meeting is on next Tuesday at 10:30. We have to give a week's period in between the hearing and the actual vote. The proposed 2023 budget was reviewed and discussed during the previous work session for a little while. Held this morning, the proposed 2023 budget has also been placed on the city website for review. Jason, would you briefly review the major points of the general budget, the enterprise fund, and the marketing fund of this proposed budget?
Madam Mayor, for this budget year, just give some perspective. At the 15.6080 millage rate, it was to generate $1,011,930. If everybody has seen their tax bill with the increase, with the increase of the mill from 64,000 to 70, almost $78,000. Dropping the millage rate to 12.9914 would generate $1,011,926, which is $4 less. That's nominal, but still, it's important to know that it's not a tax increase. There are several sheets using the required PT 32, which is the state form. We're actually a little below 0.56%. So actually, we're actually below the rollback, which is good. There is a slide that, and again, this has been available. I have an extra copy, but just very quickly, the proposed budget is $1,305,954. That's total. $1,011,926 property tax, around 50,000 franchise, about right at 30,000 permits, about 34,000 grants, 42,000 anticipated in things like fines, forfeiture tickets. We're anticipating about 47,000 hotel motel, 10,000 contributions, and then around about another 80,000 in miscellaneous penalties, interest, real estate taxes, etc. And that comprises the $1,305,954. As far as our breakdown, about 78% property tax, about 3% grant, 5% permits fees, 4% hotel motel, and about 10% miscellaneous. How are these tax dollars being dispersed in? Admin, about 319,000. Building ground, 70,000. Fire, 116,838. That represents 1.5 mil, which is what they requested. Roads, 267,000. And then police, 450, almost 455,000. Again, 1,305,954. Again, this proposal is to adopt a lower millage rate that would not result in a tax increase. And as I said, on the municipal, excuse me, on the marketing side, the recommendation will be $5,000. That is what PLA, what the club gave for this year. If they give that next year, if in anticipation if they give the same, that would be a collective $15,000 to allow them to do operational matters. On the enterprise side, just a segue, no proposed rate increase in trash or water. Even adding an extra person, adding the vehicle, we're anticipating about 481,000 revenue. Our cost would be about 472,000, which would be about almost $9,000 surplus. On the trash side, we're anticipating about 216,000 in revenue. And our cost would be about 201, which would be about $15,000 surplus. So, I know that's very expedited, but I wanted to give time for questioning. If anybody has anything, but again, the budget, the PowerPoint, everything's been available now for about a week and a half. We've had, it's all been on the website, we put ads on the Facebook page, we've had a hard copy available at City Hall, so we've done everything we can. Of course, we've advertised in paper center, so everything been done to get the word out.
Okay, the way we have this set up for the public hearing is we start off with the general fund. And we talk about an opposition to or in favor of type format. So we'll start with that with the council. Any comments about the general fund? Okay, Bill.
I think it's also important to note that when we do this, state required rollback calculation, what that basically says is based on the property values from the previous year and your millage rate, what were the dollars you collected? The rollback calculates that and takes out property value increases. So it's basically saying to get the same money that you had last year, what should your millage rate be? And if your property values have gone up, that millage rate needs to go down. Right, so that you're not paying any more taxes, any more property taxes than you did the year before. And if you don't adopt that rollback rate, that lower millage rate, even if you keep the millage rate the same as last year, that's a tax increase because your property values. And the property values, I think it's 20% up, right? The tax assessment. So if we don't roll back the rate or adopt that, you're gonna pay 20% more taxes on your property. So that was our start point to calculate and adopt that rollback rate. And then the big question that we had to charge Jason with, can we maintain the city to deliver all the services that we need to without cutting anything back and doing some additions like you heard. And will that work? And so that was the premise we started with to do this budget. And Jason did a great job putting that together. Now, when you go through line by line budget, we're taking care of our employees with about a 5% COLA increase in their salaries, and there's some additional payroll costs that are associated with that. There's a additional person in public works, which is great, which we really need. The 55,000 that you were talking about is capital expense. Replace the truck for the water department, et cetera, et cetera. So not really skimping on anything in this budget. What's not in here, which you don't put in this general fund budget, are the T-SPLOS funds. You've got LMIG in here, which is one we can count on. We know what that is. And there's quite a.
Bill, what is LMIG? What does that stand for?
That's the
Local maintenance and improvement grant, it's a VDOT grant.
roads.
Usually you have to apply for it every year. Typically, you have to identify a project, last year, the project was the culvert. This year, the project was the Evergreen Road. We're thinking next year, the project is probably gonna be replaced the culvert right here at the curve. And the price changes, but it's usually around $33,000, I think, for next year. It's $33,009. There is a 10% match for that we had to do. For example, the LMIG for the road this year was around $32,000. We had to do 30% match is around $10,000, so that's $10,000 out of pocket taxpayer money that you have to add to the game per se, but, I'm not gonna say it's almost guaranteed, but you apply for it, you identify a project. We've gotten it every year, at least every year since I've been here.
As long as we apply.
As long as we apply.
So,
The other comment with this, that I don't ever think gets publicized. Is, when we look at our reserves. Cash we have, that's unencumbered. And when I say that, some of the cash we have in the bank is encumbered because we're funding depreciation. That allows us to spend money, replace equipment, etc. But just a quick kind of back of the envelope calculation on that. In addition to being able to get our city operating on this lower millage rate. We have well over $2 million. The recommendation from Georgia Municipal Authority is, I think, 3.5 or 4 months. Which, you know, for us, that would be maybe $400,000.
Right.
So we're, and from a debt ratio standpoint, the internal audit that just happened there, you're at 11%, I believe. Was a debt ratio, which is extraordinarily low for a municipality. So from a go forward standpoint, we are very, very healthy as a municipality from a financial standpoint, which is allowing us to reduce 2.6 mils on the property taxes.
Amen. Well put, Bill. Any other comments?
No, I think you guys have done an excellent job with the budget to get back to where we need to be. No doubt.
And still provide the services, taking into account the increase in what we're gonna have to spend, taking care of our employees, hiring a new employee and taking care of the equipment. I'm really pleased. Jason.
Appreciate Bill's
Yes.
statements.
Yes.
It helps us appreciate that, you know, we look around and we don't see any rich guys sitting in here, but in terms of. But, you know, that, we're fortunate to be in the situation we are. We're fortunate that we can meet the needs of the residents of our cities. And, you know, we have to salute the financial responsibility of the folks who've created all the surpluses that led us to have the huge nest egg that we have now. The other side of that is that, you know, when push comes to shove on a rainy day, we're gonna have the assets. And when the rainy day comes and we really need to do something extraordinary, we're gonna be able to go ahead and do that and get that done in a timely manner.
Right.
And we're not gonna feel bad about spending that money on that rainy day, because every penny in that surplus represents money that we have paid in taxes and we have not yet received services for. So.
I know our officer remarked that we were very fortunate to have the reserves that we do, and that we are up there as far as municipalities and having our resources. Yeah, so financially, we're in great shape. Yes, ma'am. Would you please rise, say your name, your address, please? I know. Jackson Bills.
I don't have, now I wanted to see. And I'm at 195 Sun Valley, sir. And I just want you to know that we're in such great shape because our leadership works for free.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, you do. Yes, we are the only municipality in the state of Georgia where the council and the mayor are not paid. That is true. And we get a gold star on our shirts. Thank you, Liz. Anybody else have a comment about the general fund? Okay, let's move on to the enterprise fund, the water and solid waste fund. We need to discuss council members in favor of or opposition to. Any comments? 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 Okay, to the peanut gallery. Any comments? You've made your statement. Thank you, thank you. Once again, we are in great shape. All right, let's move on to the marketing fund. Council members, any comments about the marketing fund?
The only comment I have is with the amount of money we spent developing photography the last couple of years, the exposure that we've gotten
The website.
through the website, all the marketing that has been done by the consultant. The expectation was, at least mine was, that we would be able to pare back a little bit of our contribution. So that we can utilize all that great databases that we've built, photography we've built, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we came up with. Last year we did 15,000, and this year we're doing 5. So it's 10,000 going back to other deployment.
I also see us continuing with Forward Raven. So that certainly has been, I think, a great help to our marketing efforts also, which we will have to utilize our collected portion of the hotel motel tax, which is another discussion for another day, which we'll talk about. It's good, it's good. But also we have that in our pocket.
I think the marketing committee has made great strides in terms of figuring out strategies to get exposure around the country for Sky Valley. We've also been spending a lot of resources on websites and things like that. And so now we need to figure out how to publicize the websites. We also, I see in the future, need to figure out better than we know now, how to use social media to get to groups of people that we're not getting to right now. So there's still a lot of room for activities that will benefit the community as a whole. And I look at this particular budget and I see that the city's contribution is at 5,000, clubs at 5,000, the POA is 5,000. In the past, the POA has contributed 15, and in other years, the city has contributed 15. And it's always been my hope and expectation that while this continues to be a cooperative effort, that the city is really the mechanism for sharing the cost. In other words, the marketing benefits Sky Valley as a whole, the citizens as a whole, the property values individually and as a group. And, you know, with the POA and the club, I just think that the city is taking the leadership and that the city ought to take the leadership in funding in the future as well. And so when we start really getting some traction in how we reach out on social media, I would hope that the city would be able to increase its share of contributions to the larger effort.
And I agree with you, Jim, and we also, as part of that, we have created a position, and it's, I think it is funded for full-time next year, Jason, for our communication specialist, which is exactly what this person is supposed to be doing, because Jason and Karen and Monica just can't do it all, you know,
Right,
so,
right.
I mean, it's a daily thing, that'll be our focus.
And that's very cost effective.
Yeah, that's very cost effective, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments from anybody out in the participant land would like to talk?
Yeah, it's Gordon Grand, just I'm part of the marketing committee. What if, just a what if issue, one of the POA decided, or whatever reasons, they could not contribute as much. And all of a sudden, we've already had a $10,000 reduction. Somehow on the 15, now instead of 15,000, maybe they only could do 2,500. I'm just saying, what if you're reducing the marketing by $10,000? that's a big number. And of course, I'm a very, very, very big proponent. We've got enormous exposure in terms of the Doug Hollingsworth and what he's done. No way within our committee do we have anyone within our committee that has that expertise. We don't. The city doesn't have it. And just be very frank, somehow we got to work within the marketing committee that we continue this national regional exposure. It's very important. And Doug has done an incredible job. And we just, what we do it, I have to figure it out within the committee. I didn't know how we can work it out. So whatever my recommendation, whatever way that we can continue to use Doug Holmes.
How much do we pay Doug?
75 months.
Oh. $750 a month for a year, that's approximately $9,000.
So that takes a big chunk out of that $15,000.
Oh, yeah. And if there's any way, if I could have to work with, if I get 15,000, I'm gonna try to figure it out. And be my high recommendation that he is retained. That's just, I have a very strong.
You know, the challenge for us is we have to do budgets way before POA. and
Sure.
Dollars. So we've got what we have there.
Yeah.
So we look forward to hopefully getting some news from the other two entities.
Okay, yes, and at this point, yes, I'm just bringing it up. Because,
I agree. I just, if we all knew at the same time.
Yes, right.
it'd be a lot. And there's also some opportunity as we move forward to do.
okay, great.
If we need it.
Okay, great. Okay.
So.
Who was it that said Gordon was rich?
Well, thank you for the comment.
I just want that on the record, Gordon. Okay, anybody, I can go with anybody else. Yes, sir. You will stand and give your name and address, sir.
My name is Tim Darrell, 642 Ridgepole. Is there any way that we could find another $5,000 for marketing in this budget?
Well, one thing to take into consideration, there should be a little bit of surplus in the marketing checking account for the end of the year.
Okay,
You will still have to, so with that being said, if the city contributed $5,000 for next year, you still have to submit a budget proposal to the council to approve. Probably once you know what the POA is going to contribute, get an understanding of possibly what maybe the club's going to contribute. You might be able to pull from some of that surplus, but again, it's one of the reasons with the taper down this is that the traction that we were making when we had our communications person before they left was that they would be able to do a lot of that administrative stuff that you would be paid for. We knew that the second year of the photography, I don't think there was any plan for that
Right.
next year.
Right.
And then I guess, of course, Doug, his is kind of a static amount every month or yearly, but you know, there's a lot of unknowns there. I mean,
and we're not really sure what the POA
Yes.
and what the club.
I mean,
are gonna
you know, we
put
could,
into it
we
anyway.
could, if you wanted to increase the marketing fund to stay within that parameter, we would obviously need to take it from someplace else. It just depends on how much we're talking about. You know, we might have to take a few hundred here, 1,000 there.
Yeah.
But the key is to try to stay to not. Well, the way the budget is written now, you're gonna have to take it from someplace else. If you add to it, then you're gonna be looking at.
And then this is yes too.
You fund communication person that we have been paying this year since Monday.
I mean, that money, that would just go back into the general fund, for this year. I mean, obviously, but, it would begin anew come January 1st, but,
That doesn't carry it.
no, it doesn't.
But again, the budget amendments can be made.
Yeah.
After the fact.
After your cake sale, Gordon. Any other comments or questions about, the marketing fund at this point? All right. Well, thank y'all for your participation in our only budget hearing that we have had. Any further questions on the budget as you review it? Jason is certainly available. We have a week before we have to approve this budget. Please feel free to call Jason 24/7. Is that right, Jason?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right, now our regular council meeting is going to start in about, I'm gonna give everybody 5 minutes to stand up again and we'll do the regular council meeting. No, you don't have to.